I wish I could find a place that's more kid-friendly.
Margarita Diaz opens the front door of her apartment in City Heights. She lives there with her 11-year-old son and 8-year-old daughter who share the one bedroom.
This is what I call the kids' room. This is what I set up for them, and I just sleep on the couch.
Diaz spent 10 years on a waiting list to get a housing voucher, also called Section 8. She finally received one in 2015.
So when I applied for Section 8, I thought, oh, well, cool, now I'll be able to move into just either a better community.
She had her sights set on apartments in La Mesa or North Park.
When I first got my voucher and I started looking, I think 2-3 weeks into it, I called the person that's in charge or that I'm supposed to contact at Section 8. And I told them, hey, I'm not finding any apartments, 2-bedroom apartments in this price range. They're higher.
She pays 30% of her income toward rent, and the voucher covers the rest up to a certain limit, $1,304 for 2-bedroom apartments, which is paid directly to the landlord. She couldn't find an affordable apartment in another neighborhood, so she stayed in her current place in City Heights. The new federal program might have changed things for Diaz's family. Before the program, a housing voucher was calculated using the median of all rents in the city. Under the federal program, a housing voucher is calculated using the median rent in the zip code where the family wants to live. That means families living in more expensive neighborhoods get larger housing vouchers so they can afford the rent there. So if Diaz's family wanted to move to North Park, they could get about $1,600 in a housing voucher for a 2-bedroom apartment instead of about $1,300 using the citywide median. But that's not what San Diego is doing.
We decided that that was too complicated. It was too burdensome.
Rick Gentry is the CEO of the San Diego Housing Commission. At the beginning of this year, it rolled out its own program that's like a scaled-down version of the federal zip code-based program. It would give families like the Diaz's more money to live in better neighborhoods, but not as much as they'd get under the federal program. For example, under San Diego's program, they'd get about $1,700 if they wanted to move to Point Loma. Under the federal program, they'd get $2,000. Gentry says he doesn't want to use the federal program because it would slash voucher amounts for people living in the lowest cost neighborhoods.
It would have harmed families living in our more traditional lower cost areas in order to help families live in higher cost areas. So we decided that was beyond providing choice and assistance. That was social engineering in punishing families to remain where they are.
However, any housing commission can choose to not decrease voucher amounts for families who stay in lower income neighborhoods, something called a hold harmless provision. Gentry also worries the federal program would drive up voucher amounts, which would mean fewer people get vouchers overall.
It's simple algebra. If the rents increase enough so that we don't have enough money to cover 15,500 families, we start lopping families off the list.
Dallas has been using the zip code-based system for almost 10 years. Leaders of its housing authorities say it didn't require hiring any extra staff and didn't cause anyone to lose their vouchers. And Parisa Ijadi Maksudi, a San Diego poverty attorney, says the reasons against using the zip code-based program missed the point of the program in the first place: to desegregate cities.
We're so racially and class segregated right now that moving forward immediately is what needs to be done. It's just hard incrementally changing the way our neighborhoods in San Diego are made up.
Margarita Diaz says she and her family would like a larger voucher to move to a different neighborhood. When her apartment flooded, she and her 2 children moved in temporarily with her brother in Chula Vista.
My kids really liked it. When we came back, my son's like, Mom, I don't want to live in the ghetto.
Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.